Citadel is a private client wealth manager, and in that sense a lot of our clients have significant investments in art, and we started facing questions about what should I do with my art, should we keep it, should we sell it. Often those decisions come at times when it's uncomfortable, when the family is at stress, and we really didn't have all the answers. So we had to do a lot more research to understand the dynamics of this asset class a lot better before we could give any form of advice from an investment perspective. So it was purely to understand whether this is in fact an asset class and whether we could look at it as an investable universe. It was originally developed purely as a service to our clients, just to understand the dynamics of this unique universe better. But since we've launched this and we've put it into the public domain, we've had so much feedback from the art community, from other alternative investors, from foreign contributors and constructors of indices, from different businesses, from insurance and other facets of business, that there's been so much interest in it. But the exact purpose where it's going now, it's become an animal in its own right. But there's a lot of potential in it. But from our perspective as Citadel, we developed this as a service to our clients. Citadel has an enormous machine of analyzing investments. We aspire to be a world-class investment manager. And in doing so, we have all the resources, utilities, intellectual capital, processes, tools, and people to do that type of analysis on financial investments. So merely taking another asset class, once it has qualified as an investable asset class, and placing it inside the same machine was actually very simple for Citadel to do, and then to analyze it in exactly the same fashion we would do for any other investment. The first thing to understand the nature of the beast is to have data, to have the past, to have the history. Then we can look at the dynamics of that universe. We can start understanding the risks, the volatility, the co-movement with other asset classes. Are there causality between other asset classes and this universe? To try and find the links. Where does the value come from? What drives this thing? And that is exactly what we had to do to analyze this asset class. Now, there are many alternative asset classes. You could look at private equity, property. You could have other passion investments like wine and racehorses and collectibles and yachts and aeroplanes. So art falls right into that same universe. If you want to look at it as an investment, best you have the data, best you understand the beast. And we were fortunate to find Auction Vault, who has a mountain of data on all South African auction data, and we could start working from there. Our next partner to ensure objectivity on the calculation of the index was Econex, and they're an actuarial firm sitting in Stellenbosch, and they developed the original specs for the model, and they do the frequent updates of the index. It has been a spectacular journey, because when we started out, it intuitively just felt that this would just be the South African wealth effect. As the equity market goes higher, art prices would go higher. And wow, were we surprised to find that in fact the highest correlation of all was found with hard commodities priced in dollars, and in fact with the Chinese equity market. And considering that the Chinese buyers have now become the largest buyers of art on global auctions, it is not surprising to see that in fact the Chinese equity market's wealth effect has got a much larger influence on South African art prices than in fact the South African equity market. So that was surprising, but it was great to see, and we have a much better understanding now of the correlations and co-movement and causality between other asset classes, global asset classes, and South African art prices. In the last quarter, the volume of trades, we've had 10 auctions taking place. The total volume has declined somewhat. The total value has declined to 85 million rand during the quarter, which is slightly down from 106 million in the previous quarter. However, the median prices has kept on increasing strongly, which shows that the top ticket items have not been attracting those high prices. We've not had any new record prices in terms of sheer value being set, but the median has still been increasing, and so much so that for the entire universe over the last quarter, the index increased by 10.3%. So for the year, it's now standing up 13%, a fantastic result. Looking forward into the art market, we have to take it a step back to the global macro picture. We have to look how global equity markets have improved somewhat, but unfortunately the Chinese equity market has been under some pressure and has been the weakest performing equity market. So considering how important that is for South African art, there's a bit of hot and cold blowing there. Looking at the global economy, we're expecting a muddle through scenario, a tough economy. The euro area is in recession. The US, after the fiscal cliff, will come very close to a recession. Chinese growth has cooled down somewhat, but overall the world ticking over. So not a bad scenario, but not a pumping hot scenario. So a muddle through scenario is how we describe that. In that world, I would expect art prices to still do reasonably well. Commodity prices are holding up well, and as we've seen, that physical commodities has become very popular with investors. Tangible assets become very popular with investors. So I personally think that the art market will still do well over the next quarter and over the next year.